work, like up and down the major routes. I don't know if people have noticed because A, it's been like our opener several times, or B, because like it's come up in the gameplay several times. But highways, huh? Huh?
Huh?
Um, and I have like a
Oh yeah.
long commute. Like it isn't a to and from work every day. It's like to and from the site every month kind of thing. So I gotta drive like 6-7 hours. So I gotta get the right playlist. And apparently, the right playlist when you're driving is like, for me at least, it's just George Thorogood. Like, there's other stuff to like give you the tolerance to get through to more George Thorogood.
Ah.
But I only noticed now that I was actually checking the artists on the song. I was like, hey, it's wait, that sounds like, oh shit, no, it's all the same stuff. And it's funny because
It's all him.
some of those songs are just like normal old songs, and then some of them it was only when I was like at home working and I was craving more of it. It was just like, no, I want the chunky stuff. Some of them are weird. Like, do you know the song "Who Do You Love"? The ones like "Who Do You Love," da-da-da-da-da-da-da, that one.
I
No.
know of it. I do.
Ah, do you know the lyrics?
Ray does.
Um, no. I know the ones that you just sang. I
So
could
it's like,
mumble along.
because the thing is, you remember the part that says "Who do you love," ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, but the part in the middle is the weird shit because it's like, I've got a tombstone brain, a rattlesnake mind, I've got a cobra necktie, I've got like a brand new home full of rattlesnake skin and a chimney full of human bones. And then the chorus is just "Who do you love?" And it's like, what?
What?
I
Am
feel
I?
like those
Am I being?
songs are tricky for me because it's like even if I wanted to learn the lyrics, which I mean there are some that I do, even if I
Mhm.
wanted to, like I need to be able to relate them to the other lyrics or like the name of the song so that I'm
Yeah.
able to remember better.
Right.
But like with songs like that, what am I gonna relate it to?
It
Nothing.
it feels like being flirted with by a goblin.
Huh.
Yeah. Or in a different language.
Hmm.
Like you can tell what they're trying to like you can tell the intention. Like you see what they're trying for.
Hmm.
But it's not clicking in a way that works for
You
me, you
man,
know?
could okay, you know how Americans be when they're trying to speak, and I say Americans loosely, we're all American, kind of like speak another language, but they're not very good at it, so they just kind of speak louder and angrier.
Yeah.
Um, Imagine being flirted with somebody that doesn't speak your language, but just kind of keeps insisting louder and louder in English.
I've met several of those people. Ken also
Not me.
says, I guess you're supposed to love Snake Man, and now I'm imagining like you're in downtown Pine Watch and there's a Pythona who's doing that, just being like, hi, how do you? What? I don't speak common so good. Hey, do you want to go home later? What? Oh, sorry, was I rude? You busy?
There is something very powerful about going up and going, ah, sorry, I don't speak the common tongue. Uh, I don't, man. I guess that is like people do that where they'll just learn how to say sorry, I don't speak your language in different languages. Um,
Actually, that's one of the
I did
worst
that with sign
things
language.
to learn because then like you you get people excited
Mm-hmm.
that you're speaking their language to then
Yeah.
hear sorry, I don't speak any of your language.
Well, and they don't believe they're not going to believe you.
No.
Is a problem.
One thing that I
I
find,
should say they're not going to believe you specifically if the language is English.
mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
One thing that
Like,
I find weird about like being a full like actual. I'm not trying to gatekeep. It's just it's relevant to Canada. Like an actual francophone is that there's
yeah,
so
yeah,
many
yeah,
people
yeah.
who are like, I speak French, and you'll be like, ah ouais, comment ça va? Ça va bien ou quoi? And they're like, what? Sorry, no, je ne parle. And you're like, you don't speak French. You just passed French. That's not the same as speaking
Yeah,
French.
yeah.
So
I mean,
I
it's
met someone
not.
at the uni that is from France
Hmm.
Oh
and
no.
him talk about Quebec.
Mhm.
And like, he's like, why does it make me feel like everybody in Quebec is speaking the same language, but not speaking the same language?
Because
And I'm like,
that's literally what's happening.
I'm
Yeah,
so
no,
sorry.
There's a lot of history to that. So, like,
Yeah.
do you know what? Fuck it. Let's do a tangent. So there was, I don't know how much of this you guys remember, but I'm also saying this because, like, other people might watch this eventually. So when like the part of the world known as Canada was colonized, first was Newfoundland. Next was, they would call it Upper and Lower Canada, but it's basically like the east side, like ocean side of Ontario and Quebec. And then from there, they moved further and further, and then there's a point where British Columbia was like a distant anchor, and like the area of Alberta through to Saskatchewan and Manitoba was kind of just territories, the way that like the Yukon Northwest Territories and Nunavut are now. But eventually that changed. And I'm not going to go on the whole long tangent about, like, we know that was a bloody thing, but we don't need to get into that. Point being, though, there were two main forces of colonizers that were opposed to each other. And specifically, like, they were able to, in the earlier stages, like in the 16 and 1700s, use different, existing tribal grievances to get people to fight against each other. It's only closer to, like, the 18 or 1900s when it was very much like a European overwhelm. But during that time, the reason that a lot of that worked is because what France would do specifically is they would send... France and England both sent all their criminals as, like, punishment, but France did something called, around that era, called, like, Fille du Roi, which was basically, like, if you were an orphaned woman in a really bad situation, you would just get shipped off to be some criminal's wife, right? So it's, like, the most... Some people would do it for legitimate work, like, a significant amount. Some people were for traders, but basically, like, the colonies were established by French peasants. And you get it with the Brits towards America. And in Canada, you don't get it so much, but between Quebec and France, it's worse than the Britain-US thing. Like, the Britain-US thing is funny, but there's still ache with, like, the Quebec-France. Like, genuinely, it's just if you're from Quebec, from back then, you were a peasant that was cast out, right? And that doesn't justify everything that happened between now and then, but it does more or less, like, summarize, like, there's a tension, right? Because France is still very cosmopolitan, it's deeply involved in European politics, and compared to the vastness of, like, Britain and the US and the triangle trade, like, Canada's kind of forgotten, so it's just this one link. Anyways, that was the history hour. So now that it's quiet, because I've talked too much, should I talk more or do the...
Yeah,
The thing?
do the
Absolutely.
the clippy board.
And
Well,
that's...
your instincts serve you well.
Thank you. I paid attention from 7th to 9th grade history class. It was a good time. There was fur and canoes.
I did not.
And I was happy because I don't have a lot of affinity for fur, but I do like canoes.
Also didn't pay attention in history.
Who doesn't? Okay. Show me who doesn't like a canoe. Okay.
Oh, I love
Glad we're all on the same page.
Yeah, I love canoeing. Seriously, we should go canoeing at some point. Have a little adventure session.
I don't own a canoe, but if there's a place where we can rent a canoe, that would be good, I think.
Mm-hmm. So, dozens of tree-shaping druids work in unison. Massive branches braiding together. Rope, crossbeams, struts. Engineers, architects, foresters. Some carpenters work like miners in wood, carving the wagon flat floor. Others build fencing and signage, reinforcing nature's imperfections. It may seem evident not to drive a wagon through the trees, but the forest floor eats the unwary. Welcome to Bloodwine. So, I know it's not the same without it. Do 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 do. I gotta get on that, and I can't just go and grab one of the instruments because it just doesn't work with the audio.
Yeah.
I would need,
that is
like-
something that we kind of missed from not having.
Yeah, we need Ken's expertise, but Ken's taking a break for the time being, which honestly, I'm glad. Also, hey Ken, if
Yeah,
you're
I'm
still
glad
here, he's
too.
like in chat.
I'm glad too. I hate that guy.
Ken, I heard that
Yeah.
Ken is an INFT, and that's pretty bad from what I've read.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
In a weird way, it feels like clout, because it's like, I know a streamer who's on, like,
Yeah.
a self-care hiatus month.
Ooh.
That's almost like an
Self-care?
echelon.
A little bit of self-care, you know, take care of yourself.
Hey.
Oh yeah, apparently Ken's profile type is NFT.
Yes.
NFT. Yeah, that checks out.
Same.
Oh, there was like a potential NFT like dating site that was created, but they had to stop because there weren't enough women.
Or any women. Yeah.
I find that really funny because you'd think of all the crowds, they would have the bots.
That's yeah.
Anyhow,
Elon
you guys-
Musk threatened to. I don't know.
Oh, the
He's
muskrat.
not bad, I bet.
You know, I don't like that Elon Musk is becoming a person with a lot of power that, like... There's reasons to hate him that are political, and I do believe in those, but I don't want to derail on it, but, like, genuinely from an apolitical standpoint, you gotta admit that he has a lot of power.
He's
And-
had a lot of power for a long time.
What money
Yeah.
is.
But,
I
like,
I don't
Yeah.
even know if I
especially
don't like
now.
he's getting power because like politics. I don't like he's getting power for the same reason that I don't like that Jeff Bezos has power,
Yeah.
and it's that they're both like creepy dudes.
Yeah.
But we can express gratitude because they have very laughable names. Both of them, honestly. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos is such a generic old man name.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
you know, the funny thing is, I disagree in terms of classical generic old man name, but I feel like it's the first in a new wave of this generation's old man names. Like, it used to be that all of our old man names were like William Pierce Smythley Blythe, right? But now the old man
Jedediah.
names are like,
Yeah.
but now the old man names are all like, oh, I'm Helen Markham.
Yeah. And the other one that gets me every time is, and I don't know why.
Which one is it?
Oh.
What name?
Kieran.
Kieran?
You're not a fan of. I knew a Kieran once.
I've known lots of Kierans, and there's nothing wrong with them. It's just a name that I hear and immediately like chuckle to myself, and I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Kieran. Man. Kieran.
I can't stop it. I'm so sorry.
Sorry to all the Kierans out there.
I should have told the Kierans out there.
Yeah.
Are you happy with your name? Are you happy with your life?
Yeah.
Please don't tell us.
I will say,
Comments.
the first
don't
time
care.
I had like a generational name association thing was when I was like 6 or 7, and all the 4 or 3-year-olds were called Colin, and I was like, hey. And it's really weird because 20 years later, all of them are like the new recruits to whatever job I end up in. So it's like
23,
I'm
yeah.
having to like redo that sort of association where it's like, oh, Colin isn't like the screaming child I say as a slightly less screaming, slightly less child. Like,
Yeah.
now they're like the new guy in HR
Yeah.
who like plays League and gets D&D references. It's a different vibe.
Oh man. That's that. Oh man.
He once was a screaming child, but no longer.
but no longer. Hey,
Now
so
we scream internally.
Mhm.
the podcast that is very good, Ono Rising Carrie, they did do a Colin Collins show where you're allowed to call into the radio show, but only if your name was Colin.
That reminded me of Stobies in London, where like they have a daily, like if your name is this, you can get a free pizza. Like,
Yeah.
how would Ono, Ross, and Carrie verify that somebody's name is actually Colin?
They asked them, "Hey, what's your name?"
Okay, but you could lie.
Yeah, but they could.
I
But
think
Ono
that-
Ross and
Yeah,
Carrie
but that's not in the spirit of the
has a
program.
very discerning sort of fan base. Yeah.
it might also be the Reddit kind of idea of like, if anyone's willing to lie, they're probably willing to put in the effort to make the story decent. So just trust
Yeah.
75%. Not 100, not
You put
50.
exactly what I love about Reddit into words.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Man.
that. The important thing to remember about Reddit in one moment is that time they caught the Boston bomber.
Oh, yeah.
What?
You want to take this one, Gabe?
Oh,
I feel like you might remember
the guy who I don't remember jack shit from it except for that
Oh.
it's like the worst
Yeah,
that
okay,
happened.
so
But they caught him, didn't they? They caught him, and they put him through the fucking ringer.
the Boston Marathon was bombed back in, I don't know, I want to say 2015, 2016.
Sure.
And Reddit, more or less doing what TikTok is doing today, which like is more or less, hey millennials, I know it's really fun to make fun of TikTok, and frankly, yes, make fun of TikTok, but like that's just what we did on Vine and Snapchat like 5 years ago tops.
Yeah. Really, you're really speaking truth to power here, Will.
Sorry, I do want to make a brief aside. The millennial versus Gen Z thing is almost refreshing because it's just like the tiniest petty cultural things, and then both of us can be like, well, we can
Yeah.
both agree that like the boomers actually fucked with the world in a bad way.
Yeah.
It's so much
Common
more
enemy.
peaceful. Yeah, common enemy. Anyways, what was I talking about? I had a
Well,
thing.
I think the thing
Boston
is,
bomber.
yeah,
Yeah.
Boston bomber.
So basically Reddit was like, aha, true crime. We're all detectives because we were on the same subreddits, right?
Yeah.
So they're searching and they're searching, they're looking through all kinds of shit. And they start confirmation biasing with chaos theory. Like, if you have a 50-50 chance of being right, but you have confirmation bias, you're going to go, okay, I'm going to take the 60%, which is the one I want. And then that anchors at another point. Oh, I'm going to take the 60% I want. So basically, like, when you look at the individual leaps, it's like conspiratorial logic. Like, oh, I get it. But basically, when it happened, moment to moment, they had a live Reddit mega thread. And they were trying to figure out who the Boston bomber was. And they thought they caught him, and they found his location. And if this person was the Boston bomber, they would have caught this person. But it was actually just a random dude. So the police were telling people to stop calling because they were wrong. And it was a different, like, they were on the wrong track, and they eventually were, like, delayed in the investigation because so many people were like, yo, I saw on Reddit, the blah, blah, blah. And the police were like, stop. We have different leads. If you weren't there, I don't give a shit. It's hearsay. Stop.
Yeah. Yeah, it is the classic superhero problem of like, okay, you beat the snot out of somebody and left him in a a vegetative state. That's not exactly gonna hold up in court, you know.
Well, it can hold up in fantasy, like this fantasy game.
Oh boy!
Wow.
When last we met,
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
you went for a bit of company baseball on your other day off, and then had a slice with the boys. I'm going to start today off with you guys quietly wheeling your way up. You tell me, what's the order of people coming into work? This is you, the cleaning crew. Sorry, the cleanup crew, I should say. They do also clean around, like, the area. Like, mostly the janitor does, but, like, that's the name of their wagon, whatever. So you, cleanup crew, Firehouse 4, Rangers, and the fifth one is technically the crew of the the old girl, like the founders. Who comes in first?
I'm gonna say either the Rangers or the Firehouse 4. They seem like people who'd be up early, you know?
That is true.
Okay.
So maybe Firehouse 4 and the Rangers, and then us.
No, it's...
Okay, so who are the last two?
I think the Founders would come in last.
I mean,
Like,
yeah.
bosses, they don't care about anything. They don't care about being in on time. So I
Yeah.
think
Well-
us, and then Cleanup Crew, and then Founders. That's my vote.
Hot take.
Alright, so by the time you guys get there, the Firehouse 4 has made their way in, they're getting comfortable, but the Rangers are talking to someone outside.
Oh?
They've already, you can see that some of them have gone in and started working on the freshly installed engineering table. You can see also that at some point when you were off, someone came in and delivered like a pallet full of boxes of medical supplies.
Oh.
You're still waiting.
Oh, yeah, because we picked that thing. We did the vote.
So currently, you, the Rangers, the Firehouse 4, and another person are all here at the depot waiting for the morning meeting. I find that
Cool.
Oh.
even though it's like one of the things that I really like about this system is that you can split the party effectively, I'm going to ask this like from a group democratic perspective. What are you doing in this moment?
As a group, probably figuring out what we want to do for the day, right?
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
what our job is for the day.
like, yeah, working together, I think we're coming in and we're saying, all right, boys, what's the vibe? Is it... Our day off is over. We're on the clock now.
Mhm.
So, like,
So what's the job?
what's the
What do we
job?
do
What's the vibe, if you will? If you would please.
You make your way in as the Rangers are talking to this person. You make your way up, you start checking on the wagon. Individually, what are you guys doing? Like, this is the gap where you guys have come in, you run your own wagon, so you've got your own business. There is a fleet manager who's with, like, the admin crew, but the admin crew are coming in late. You're waiting for your boss to show up. What are you all up to?
Like getting ready for the day, you know? Oh, cleaning off the old girl, making sure that no rats got in over the days off. And...
Let's be more specific. Cleaning off the old girl, does that include making sure the rats aren't in there? Because that would be just cleaning the wagon.
Yeah. Like, you know, you want to, if there's any rats, you get them out for starters.
Want to give me a roll for cleaning? You tell me what the
I
roll
would love
is.
to give. Okay, so this is probably like a delicate role to really get in all the nooks and crannies, you know.
Okay, like the fleet manager actually cleans them. You're detailing, so it's nice and showy for like
Yes.
mercantile purposes.
Yeah, well, and also, you know, remember, kids, if you take care of your equipment will take care of you.
Mhm.
And this is a 9. Not bad.
Alright, you got a little bit of dirt out of the pockets, but like it's one of those things where later in the day you'll notice that like there's a little semicircle instead of the corner in a couple of little moments, like, you know, the molding around the high vis section, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But still, it looks good in the low light. What about Todd and Chicken?
I feel like I'd be checking, like, doctor supplies. I would be the sort of person that would have, like, a list, maybe carved into something, or, like, whatever this version of, like, laminated is. That I could make sure that all my doctor supplies were in the right order, and I had enough of them. I know that the other, like, that management is responsible for making sure that we have enough supplies. But I feel like Todd would be the sort of person to double and triple
Okay.
check.
So, you alone make your way up to a pallet. This is... You know, like, I know that we all know what a pallet is, but for, like, historical purposes, It's reasonably modern, you know, some wood boards nailed together that can hold something heavy. On top of this are a bunch of wooden crates. These are all kind of stacked together, and instead of using like your modern pallet wrap, they're held together with rope. So instead of like in the modern day you would have to get a knife and rip everything off, like you can actually just discreetly open one of the top crates and then close it again. There's like a cloth over it, but now that it's in here, unless you really don't want to leave evidence and be subtle, like you could make the decision to fully open the pallet, or you could just peek. You could even just fold up one corner and like leave it open, being like, I'm checking supplies and making sure people know I'm checking supplies.
Yeah, like I feel like me doing my due diligence is not a bad thing. So like if people see me checking that there are the correct amount of supplies and they have a problem with that, like they can come talk to me about it. Like,
all right. So a thought occurs to you. You remember where this was. You walk right into the janitor's closet. It's not locked. You just grab a crowbar, walk back out, throw up the canvas. It's clear enough that one box is enough that you can just like check, and that would be all you need for today. You crack it open, you can see it's straw packed, and there's 3 individual like cloth sacks that have a big red plus on them. These can be easily picked up and opened. You peer through them. What level of detail do you want on this? They're enough that each one of these is a day's supplies. You could just like grab one of these, like technically they're 10 days supplies in like a crate, and then each one of them is like a day's supplies. It's like a 5x2 long crate. So you could take one of these, push it into the back of your wagon, and then you'd be good. However, each one of them is an individual pack if you want the high detail.
I feel like we do 3 days on. Wait, 3 days on, 2 days off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that our?
Yep.
I feel like I'm gonna grab 4 from the box, because then we've got enough for the 3 days supplies and 1 extra in case we have like a really bad incident or something. We need extras, but like I'm not gonna take a whole like pallet of anything.
All right.
Or a whole crate.
That's demonstrating a lot of restraint. I'm proud of you.
So you go
I
in, you crack open a crate, take 4 out. As that happens, you can see the cleaning crew quietly making their way in. They're not going to be ready to talk to you yet. They're just like filtering in. They're talking to the other people. Do you want to give me a roll of your choice for this?
Oh, for like collecting supplies?
Yep. Just flavor. No actual like results.
I'm gonna go for doctor.
Okay. 16. As you expect of any, like, passable first aid kit, like, if you didn't see these things, you would just throw them back and be like, refund this right now. You lied to us. You have enough for, like... Sorry, I'm a little burpy. You have enough for slings and broken bones. You know, like any major stuff, there's some splints there for any, like, crushing injuries. In terms of piercing, it seems like they have the appropriate, like, advanced bandages. For cutting injuries, they have the right stuff for suturing, and then to round out the kit, they have all the basic bandages. In addition to this, they have everything needed for, like, basic burn salves. They have some stuff for... You wouldn't have the... It's almost like an anti-poisoner's kit. If you work in monster services, this is something that, like, you have to talk to this distribution company with this alchemical business that gets you this kit, right? But it's like, you could get an elaborate anti-poison kit. This just has, like, basic anti-poison stuff. But it's a fully serviceable kit that's a little bit beyond the standard. Like, it's not directly built for monster services. You can tell from the labeling on the outer crates that this is destined for, like, this is medical surplus, right? but it works as like generalized first aid kits, which mean that like, you're pretty set. What about chicken?
I'll probably just check in supplies in terms of like weapons and stuff. Mostly just standing there, waiting for us to have the job that we need to go to.
Okay, so you don't have a weapon and armor workshop. There's an engineering shop. Do you go there to like sharpen blades on like a rotary thing? Are you polishing armor, or are you just doing like a once-over inspection, getting everyone to like check things after a couple days
Once
off?
over inspection. Yeah.
All right. What role are you making?
Um. What role could I possibly make for this?
I'll be back in a bit. I'm gonna head to the bathroom, which I fixed the door. I actually fixed it. It's
Damn.
still like jammy, but like it isn't going to lock me in if I close it. So like I can actually close the door. It's wild. It's great.
That was a big risk when I visited your apartment.
My apartment is not fit for multiple human habitation and debatably fit for single human habitation.
It is, yeah.
You can see literally like half of it. Anyways, I'll be back in a bit.
There are better sort of living setups in reality TV shows where the point is to stay there as long as you can without going insane.
Yeah. Will's apartment is it has much to be desired for sure.
I'm excited
Has
for
a-
Love Island.
Love Island.
Yeah.
Are
Is
you
that coming
going?
out?
No, it starts. No, it starts in.
Oh.
Yeah, me going to Love Island. I'm
You,
non-binary.
I think,
I look like I play
yeah.
video games. Everybody
Uh-huh.
there is British, shredded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like hot. Like
You would
Yeah.
go there and feel like I hate all these people.
yeah, like I feel like this would be one of the things. I think we've had this like a similar conversation before, where like Love is Blind is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
No, not Love is Blind. The other one where it's like Too Hot to Handle.
Yeah.
Where like you go
Right.
and the whole point is to not do anything like sexual whatsoever.
Mhm.
I feel like
Yeah.
I would go there and just hide in the closet the whole time and like cock block everyone just so hard.
Anytime that two people looked like they were about to kiss or something, you'd show up and be like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Hey, what are we doing in here?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
How did we get to the kiss
Yeah.
police?
Yeah.
Gabe, I said I was very excited for Love Island, and then Gabe said, "Why are you going?" Like, no. So then we were talking. We were talking about how like everybody on Love Island looks like they belong on Love Island.
Right.
And I look like I play video games, which like is not a desirable thing for the people on Love Island.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Not exactly the Love Island aesthetic.
No,
Yeah.
definitely not. I feel like a lot of people on Love Island have like veneers, a lot of plastic surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I gotta get. I feel like Ray and Chelsea. I gotta get you guys on for a stream like I did with Ken one Saturday. We did. We didn't want to do normal games. We were watching. It has to be like past a certain age. It can't be current reality TV. It has to be aged so that we don't get DMCA'd. But we watched Keys to the VIP, and we ended up watching a bit of fuck. I have to actually post that video. It was a write off when we were doing it, but in hindsight, that was a good stream.
Yeah.
The same producer made something called Girly Ghost Squad, which was like a 2003 like black and white ghost adventure thing, and we watched an episode where they went to the Grand Theater.
Nice.
Wow.
They made a whole movie based on that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Ghostbusters.
Wait, really?
Ghostbusters.
Okay, that took me a second. That was good. Yeah,
anyway,
age to cringe perfection.
I'm gonna roll mental weapon for this. That's what I've decided to roll. To look at the weapons and be like, is this acceptable? That's a 15 for
Yeah.
control weapon.
15. You all use axes as a primary weapon, which is to your benefit because it means that you can make a rule for how you maintain them and then maintain all of the blades. In the initial design, you have it set. These are meant to be primarily for monster hunting and possibly breaching doors. So instead of being razor sharp, you actually try to blunt them slightly, because these need to be able to carry the force to smack through something like an armor plate in the wrong situation. But something too sharp will actually shatter along the midsection of the blade. Think like
Right.
something that goes shwoomp like a razor blade, and something that goes bloomp like a literal woodcutting axe, right? Concave versus convex. You're trying to make sure that, like, you have a convex curve, but it's a very faint one, because these still need to have some cleaving power. You can't go full 100. You're trying to go, like, you tell me, between, like, 60 and 90, what's your aim? An exact 75, or is it more of, like, an 85 you want to cleave, 62 you want to smash?
80.
80. Okay, so you're making sure to, like, warn everyone, like, hey, don't go right into an armor plate unless you're using the back end of the blade. You have, like, spikes on the other side of the, like, front end of the head. So those are meant for, like, the big heavy piercing. So those aren't, you don't need to hack through. You're making sure that these are reasonably good for slicing, but still, you're probably going to hit, like, chitin or, horn or something today. You never know.
You never know.
Everyone's in here, and before too long, Uncle and everyone else make a bluster coming in, but the janitor's always quiet, and the janitor is sitting by the edge on, like, a bench of where the meeting's eventually going to be with this stranger who's just kind of looking on as everyone mills about. You pile into the room, you get your 2 gold, 5 silver, 2 copper, 252. And, is this going to be for the party, or is this... How are we going to do this? You are divvied up 10 medical supplies. Wanda brings it up with, specifically with Todd, because Todd brought it up, and the other Firehouse members, it'll be brought up with them. She wants to know more or less, do you want them all at once, or do you want to, like, mark a crate, get some, like, paint? Just like, black for yours, and then red for the Firehouse Fort, green, whatever. They can just do a smack of it, and then leave it in the warehouse, grab it before you leave? Or do you want to just take the whole crate, put it in your truck, and then get a new one next month?
I feel like it would be better to not have the whole crate in one truck, because if our truck catches on fire, that's gonna be a huge problem.
Okay. Right. Everything okay there, Chelsea? You went dark for a second.
I like how she went dark, but then didn't turn off her microphone. Because
I
it's
feel like
normally the other way around.
I feel like this is a Maya moment.
Yeah.
We should...
Oh, gotta be.
Okay.
I have to stand up.
Okay.
I have to stand up, and I'm wearing short shorts. I don't want to stand up with short shorts on camera. So I put the little flap down.
Okay.
Make it go black, because I also don't want to turn off my camera, because I'm worried that's going to mess up the camera view.
Mm-hmm.
So,
no, I actually do appreciate that. Would gore to our OBS setup right now.
So I don't want to stand up with no pants on stream,
Gotta be extra for that.
Yeah.
Twitch is weird like that. Like, there's that, like, hot tubby bait section of Twitch.
I like to think of myself as a hot tubby.
I think you are too. I like that we all immediately were like, yeah, Gabe. Hot tubby, like Ken vibes.
Yeah.
Yes,
but,
like Ken vibes.
Because of that section of Twitch, like, wearing regular people clothes that you would wear around your friends is, like, deemed Twitch, like, incorrect. And I know that there's this whole idea of, like, oh, like, it's not just women, but like a lot of women and like people and nipples and yada yada and decency. But like Twitch has its own particular censorship route about like what it deems acceptable. And like it kind of makes me sad that like I have to be like good, continue doing that because like that, if anything, is what would get like Twitch hell. It's not like any actual bad content. Like imaginary people get dismembered on this channel. It happened a couple sessions ago. But like Chelsea getting up the wrong way in 2 short shorts is what would actually get DMCA'd because an algorithm finds too much peach.
Yeah.
Mercifully, Twitch is full of people who look exactly like me doing streams, so like I don't have to worry about my pale arms picking it up because the algorithm knows when it's like a white guy with a bad opinion.
Yeah.
Anyways, where were we? What were we talking about?
Man, who knows?
I think we were actually at exactly
amount of
this.
Supplies.
Yeah.
Amount of supplies in each truck.
Okay. Wanda briefly waves over other people for a second, gets an opinion, then waves you back in and goes, "Alright, democratically, would you vote to have your own marked central section that you keep in a crate behind you, or would you rather leave it in the warehouse?"
Yeah, I'd rather leave it in the warehouse.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's just gonna be safer that way. Because again, if our truck lights on fire, we have now just lost like 10 days of supplies, which is which is not ideal.
Okay,
it's not good. It's certainly not good.
So, for the sake of democracy, we'll do this as fast as possible. Firehouse 4, Rogue Rangers, and Cleansing Light have a say. Gabe and Chelsea, which one do you want to be? So far, we have one for keep them in the warehouse. Do you guys want to represent a different party?
I mean, keeping them in the warehouse makes the most logical sense, even just on a weight perspective.
Yeah, but like I want you to be like a specific representing a group for this.
Oh, I'll
Gabe has to be Firehouse 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be the Firehouse 5.
I'll be the Rangers.
Sure.
I think we should have the supplies on us at all times.
Okay. Why are the Rangers saying on you at all times?
We need those supplies. What if we get trapped somewhere? We don't have enough supplies. We need to stake it out. We don't have the supplies to do that. If we have all the supplies on us at once, we don't have to worry about starving to death.
All right. Firehouse 4.
Well, if we have them all here in the warehouse, and that means that if somebody else suddenly needs a whole bunch more supplies, then we're able to divvy things up more efficiently. Plus, it just, there's a lot of stuff you want to carry around in a wagon. I don't want to haul it all over the place, up and down the county.
All right, the cleaning crew abstains. Before the vote is resolved, Wanda brings you back, explains that, like, most people want to keep it here. Wanda knows if out of the 10 days supplies, everyone wants to personally bring it down to 8 days supplies so that there's a backup crate in the warehouse. At your discretion, like, the Rangers will get their own crate. Everyone else has their own that's, like, left in camp. And then one extra crate, slightly divvying out everyone else's supplies, is left behind in case, like, something bad happens in town or you need, like, a whole bunch of extra out of nowhere.
Okay.
Is that a yes? Any other yeses? Nos?
I was playing devil's advocate,
that makes
by
sense,
the way.
sort of
My actual opinion is that we should leave it in the place. But I was like, somebody's got to disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd that go for you?
Good. I think I made a good argument.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I mean, I'm not here to disagree, but maybe I am actually. I don't know. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of this new system of putting them all in one spot. Maybe we should. Yeah, no. You're right. That's a problem, ain't it? There's like one correct answer, and it's don't carry them around with you like a psychopath.
Yeah.
Right?
Alright, so there's a bit of dissent, and they eventually end up settling on, we're going to take all these crates, we're going to do a big smear over them, but the Rangers, because they insist, can take their whole crate and, like, have hell to pay if they have to steal it from someone else's. So you have yours with a big black, like, paint mark. The Rangers have a big green one. They load it into the back of theirs. Firehouse 4 have a red. They actually only take one to put in their wagon, like, per person. So, like, they count 4, but you can hear them audibly count, like, oh, we're just going to be gone for one day. They leave everything else in there, and they expect that, like, they're not going to have to recharge day to day. Cleaning crew who are a bit late just kind of, like, look at them and go, they don't expect that they're going to have to deal with any actual injuries, so they just have one in case something bad happens. They chuck it in and they don't know. You guys have your 4 that you got.
Sure.
Everyone else is happy, and you're gathered for the dispatch. Uncle kind of gestured and goes, so, welcome back. Lovely game. You managed to get a couple of runs in on Treekeeper's Pest Control, so good on everybody for the teamwork.
I understood that game very, very well.
Yeah. I think we all.
Yeah.
Well, low pressure's frying. We're not professionals at baseball. We're professional monster hunters. Speaking of which,
Hey!
so, right off the bat, Firehouse 4, you're on dispatch. Cleanse and light. You're, well, to be honest, we're wondering what to do. We'll talk to you later. We got a couple of different things we might want to follow up on. We're trying to generate leads right now. Get a couple of more extra jobs. Right now, though, big job. I'm going to need the Rangers and Jack of Hearts for this.
Oh!
The janitor quietly just, like, taps Uncle on the shoulder and nods and steps back. There's an Ursine there. Grizzled-looking guy. He's got an eye patch and a scar, like, all the way down the face. Adventurer, very obviously. Like, some people it's mid-range, you know, people who just wear a sword in case they're out in the woods. People who are, like, adventurers who sell things in town. They wear nice clothes. This guy's all leather and skulls and swords sticking out. It's very obvious. He's a little...
You can clock him.
Yeah. He's a little awkward at first and goes, yeah, I didn't know. I've tried going to the guard before, but they're not helpful. You guys took care of my mom's house, so, I thought I'd talk to you. I'm here on behalf of, an adventurous crew. Technically, we rummages around. Sorry. Oh, shit. Opens a vest pocket. We have, he takes out a card, he goes, we have second chance insurance, but I don't think this qualifies. We were going down the road, just about 2 hours from here, me and my crew, and there was a wagon that had gone over the edge of the road. The guard have already gone to try and repair things they thought they were lost for, but we found them. We ended up going down. I know what you're gonna say, but we're a crew that does it sometimes. Someone with a dedicated focus has to do it eventually. And we managed to get the family safe, and they have 3 days food supplies. But we need to get them out. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm coming to you because we need to get people in the next 3 days, but when you want something done, you do it right. And I think if we need to prepare, I'm fine preparing, but we need to get them out. There's a family of 4 on the forest floor. Their wagon is half smashed. We can talk about it more when we get there on the way, but yeah. Uncle goes, yeah, okay, so questions, comments, concerns? Rangers?
Lead the way.
We're gonna need to tow the wagon.
Oh.
So we're gonna need some wagon towing supplies in case the axle for their wheels isn't intact.
Right. What shape is the wagon in? Is it completely smashed? Will we be able to transport it at all?
I think they had said smashed half, like half smashed. Ooh, struggled with English there.
It's not going to be towable, but, yeah. It's salvageable. It's going to be a dragger. You're going to need some sort of... The Rogue Rangers chime up and go, we've got the flatbed in the back. What sort of monsters are we dealing with? Guy goes, we were down in the... Do you use the 6th edition? And the guy goes, oh, Monster Manual, I do. Okay. He goes, okay. We're in the upper root level. You see the guy have a big thing open. He goes, Monster Manual. Okay. So you're all the way down there. He goes, yeah, the wagon was caught in the upper level of the upper shrub canopy, and then it fell through. But that cushioned the fall, so it's mostly salvageable. It's about a click down, but if we can get halfway down, we can get to where I climbed down. If you have some sort of ladder or whatever. Otherwise, I was able to get out. I climbed up through the trees. I could show you the route, but I don't think we can get the survivors through there. We're going to need some sort of solution.
Are the survivors injured at all?
We have our own supplies. There were some injuries that we've taken care of, but I don't know what could have happened between now and then. They've taken shelter.
All right. Do they have any cargo that they're going to be reluctant to give up? Or are we going to want to keep maybe a crane of some sort to salvage things?
It's a family of 4, so goods, they have some basics. Not enough that we can't part with them. Just, a teddy that we can throw in a backpack, it'll be fine. But I think a crane is right. They're, potentially wounded, potentially more than when I remember. One guy had a twisted ankle, but it was the father. Strong guy, he can climb. Mother's fine, and she's wood trained, so we have that on our side. Other than that, I think we might need a cage just because they have, the 2 young children that might need the help. Not to mention... And then, sorry, let me check the list here. Dingo Dan of the Rangers, he goes, gotta have a descent cage if you're making a descent. You got things that'll jump at you. Wouldn't want to have to do the climb.
Thank you, Dingo Dan.
What sort of things that will jump at us?
That is most helpful.
At this point, as you say that, Uncle chimes in and goes, okay, cleanup crew, you know what? You want to leave your wagon here. The fleet manager comes up and goes, if the cleanup crew is leaving their wagon here, we have the extras to spare for any additional towing. He goes, okay, we can spare additional animals so you have more towing power for this mission. Cleanup crew, do you want to, I like that. Mom's house. Do you want to go and see if you can drum up some house contracts? They'll nod and they start heading out just like on foot as a group of 4. He goes, okay, and break. You're left with this guy. He goes, anyways, what were you saying?
All right, well, sounds like we're going to need some more advanced tow equipment. I forget, did we purchase... did we purchase, a pulley system for our winch?
You do have a pulley system for your winch. That's fully set up.
Okay.
I'm also going to say this is a multi-parter, so if you want to structure this as though you're going to, really enter the mission in the late session or, even cut later on, feel free to do that. You have time for prep. Insistence, these people have 3 days of supplies and they're in a very dangerous case. But there's a seasoned adventurer who's saying, do it right. Do it right the first time.
Right.
I'm not sure I'm understanding why we would only take one wagon, though. Are there 2 crews that are going and we only take one wagon?
Kangaroo Kyle is confused and he goes, wait, one wagon? Who said one wagon?
Oh, so I'm just losing my mind. Okay, never mind. Okay, bye.
Yeah, no, we have both. Oh, good point. We have both wagons, and then he gestures over. The Rangers. Let me just switch over to this. They've got their own setup for the wagon. Theirs is articulated. They have they have a full ox-drawn cart, so they have 4 pull they can lend when they go static. They have one just flatbed that trails in the back, and then they've got like an actual caravan center that's like sleeping quarters so you could stay somewhere multiple nights. That's how they go out in most of their missions, and then whatever they bring with them from the shop. So once you're parked, they can spare an extra 4 tow. You built yourself deliberately as a towing wagon, so there's your wagon. It nixed off. You have an extra 2, so now you're at an extra 6. So a 4-horse wagon plus extra weight, if need be.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
Okay.
You communicate this to the fleet manager, and he goes, "Oh, excellent. Those horses need rest anyways. I'm going to give them an extra couple of apples today." And he starts moving off into the back.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so, pulley system, you were saying. And then Platypus Pete starts talking up, and he goes, "Yeah, we can get an old animal cage. Hook it up to a pulley system with some rope. If we're going, what'd you say, a click? But if we can do half a click, let's see if we can do half a click, but prep for a click. So we would need, does some math, and he goes, 10 gold's worth of rope. That's 100 units. Sorry, 1,000 units of rope.
Oh!
Or 500.
That's a lot of rope. Could we perhaps do it in stages? Set up a base camp and only use half as much rope.
Yeah, we could set up the upper base camp. And then the guy goes, "Oh, yeah, we could do halfway up in sort of the upper shrub cover and then move from there." So that would be 500. You could do a descent. So,
actually, hang on.
How much rope does everyone have?
That's why
We have like a shit ton of rope.
we do. Where did we write that down? Did we set up a... I feel like we should have set up a group inventory.
Yeah, we probably should have, but I've got it all written down.
Okay, yeah. How much
Perfect.
rope do we have in the vehicular?
Let me see.
You start opening up the rope and you're physically taking it out. You're measuring like arm length, arm length, arm length. You can see the Rangers doing the same. They've got their own supply, and they've got quite a bit because they use it for camping and all sorts of things.
So we've got 100 units of rope.
The Rangers have 500.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they've done this a couple of times before. You won't be able to make the full descent unless you go buy rope for like 4 gold. You would need a ton, like almost like a full... You know the big spools? Like you see... Like imagine a cowboy bar where they have one of these as a table. Like those big wooden spools. You would need that much rope.
Well,
I think we should get the company to pay for this rope.
Yeah.
Well, it's never a good idea to let bureaucracy get in the way of a good deed. I'm putting 3 of my own gold on the table because that's all the gold I have.
No,
Why?
I think
No.
the company should pay for the rope.
Well, they could reimburse us, but we gotta...
This is a company mission. The company is asking us to do this. The company will be paying for the rope if they want us to do it. The company don't pay us enough for our own rent in a crappy apartment.
Diesel is counting out the gold in his pocket, and he turns to one of the Rangers and says, might I borrow a gold off of you, friend?
No.
Okay, let me...
Like, Diesel's going out to buy rope, like, right now. These people have 3 days to live.
So, Koala Katie goes... I appreciate where you're coming from, resourceful, but... You know, we should expense this to the company since we're right here.
We're literally in the building.
If you want to work out, I'll bring you a receipt. How's that?
I will say
attach a receipt and bring it back.
the most fun I've ever had is deliberately trying to do a bad Australian accent. Like, I'm not trying to do good, I'm trying to do, like, hi, I'm a wildlife educator, for every single person in a different version of failing it. I fucking love this group.
Fine. You can kind of shift the cadence a bit.
Alright, so who is going to make the... Who's going to have the conversation? You can delegate this to the other party if you want to. And which member of the admin crew are you talking to? The fleet manager, the janitor, Uncle, or Wanda?
Uncle. He sounds like a guy that would appreciate the need for rope.
Well, definitely not gonna be me. I don't know who has the highest social skill.
Me, I think.
I have 3 social, so probably not your boy.
What skills do you have though in social?
Convince. 3 dots and convince.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
a good one. You should do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I thought
You
I had
do it.
understand. All right. You guys are holding Diesel back, and he goes, "Fine,
Yeah.
I'll get the money if it kills me." And I
Like
storm
you-
into the office. Uncle, we need rope to rescue these people.
Yeah. Between all the social skills, barter is when it's about the budget. Perform is when you're trying to build a social aura, right? Deceit is lying. Understand is trying to read someone else. Convince is when you're right and the other person just needs to get it.
Yeah.
So you walk in and you say exactly that. We need rope for this emergency. Uncle goes, oh yeah, down to the forest floor? Do we not have enough rope? How much rope do we need?
We need. Hang on, let me do the math here. 500 units of rope.
Right, do you need it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know if I can do that for you now. It might be expensive. You might have to go shop to shop, try to piece that together. Maybe go to a general store on the way. You have my clearance. You can bring back receipts. We'll reimburse you. But for next week, we can get you a full 1,000 rope. If we buy a full spool, we'll get it delivered.
All right, sounds good. I'll pay with my own pocket if I have to. And I
No,
storm out.
no. Roll convince. What
Convince
are you
again.
doing?
He already agreed to it. He agreed to reimburse me.
No,
go for
do it
Roll
again.
convince.
Be like, no, give us the rope now.
I just.
It's like a Pokemon game, like the voice of your allies insist in the back of your head. Push! Push, Gabe! Push!
Okay.
For safety!
Okay, that's a 15. As he comes storming back and he says, I just realized I don't have enough 5 gold. I need gold now!
Okay, you said 500 units?
500 units, that's 5 gold.
He just hands you 5 gold. What's the roll?
15.
15. So he hands you the 5 gold and he goes, sounds good. So in that case, I won't order the spool, but I recommend you go down to, and he gives you a spot in the trader's oak. Goes, these are the people we get our rope and textile from. Trader's Oak rope and textile. Not the most intuitive name, right? You get to an intersection, you ask people, and they look at you like an idiot. Anyways, so that's where it is. They should be able to get you a decent rate. Mention our name.
Right.
They'll ask for half up front, but invoice the company and I'll reimburse you. And
all right, sounds good.
And he pushes the 5 gold into your hand and goes, and I'm like, invoice me later, make sure to do it. I'm reimbursing you now. We'll finish the paperwork.
Yes, sir. Storming out, getting on the cart, going, all right, I need some able-bodied men who can lift a big-ass spool of rope.
Not Todd. Todd is so small.
Todd's staying behind. The adventurer Grizzly's willing to help.
All right, the rest of you stay back and prepare. We got a rope to get. And
Okay.
I'm hopping on the wagon and yeah, going down to get some rope.
Before we do this, I do want to say, they're doing last-minute preparations and trying to save time, and Platypus Pete, stops you and makes sure to ask, are you sure you want to go and you don't want to delegate that to Chicken or something? we need to make this descent cage.
You're right. A good leader needs to know. He needs to know when to not be the go-to guy. Hey, chicken, do you mind going and getting the rope?
Yeah.
Thank you. And I give you the 5 gold.
Cool.
All right. Who do we want to follow? Chicken and the adventurer, or do we want to follow Todd and Diesel inside the workshop for a while?
Let's do me first and go back to the workshop.
Sounds good.
All right. So you crack along. You're in the upper palisade. The inner palisade is closer to where the spiral is. You could take that, or you could take the what was I going to say? The funicular.
1 second. Did he want us to get 1,000 units of rope?
500.
500? Okay, because he gave us 5 gold, and we 5 gold pays for 500, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he said something about half up front.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
Am I confused? Why would we be paying half? Why would he give me 5 gold? If 5 gold pays for 500 units, why would I pay half of that? Then I'm just pocketing 2.5 gold? I'm confused here.
Is this Chelsea or in character? Because I can play this as in character.
Chelsea as a person.
Okay.
I don't know what's happening.
Okay.
Character. He's gonna want. If you want to pocket the gold, you can pocket it. If you want to give him all the money up front, you can. But we need that rope now.
Yeah.
No, this is Chelsea. I don't know what's happening.
So from an in-game standpoint, Grizzly more or less gives you a shrug and is like, your boss gave you money, I don't know, get 500 euro rope. In-game, to clarify, they expect you to pay half up front and half is invoiced. Are you familiar with invoicing as a business concept?
No.
Okay. So basically, regular people like you and me buy things. This was really, to be clear, this is me explaining because that's how I learn, because this is very new to me from my personal life, doing my actual job, which is why Bloodwine isn't a book yet, which is for the best, it's not a commercial product, it's supposed to be a labor of love, so I'm actually really glad that I've had this lingering on it. But so basically, if you imagine a credit card, the idea is that you invoice the credit card company, they pay you right away, and then the credit card gets money from you by telling you this is what you owe. Invoicing is sort of like that, but instead of a credit card, it's the company. So, you as Chicken would show up and be like, hey, I'm here on behalf of Allied Independent for this. We're invoicing for this. And they go, okay, do you have the upfront fee? And then they would just take the money and give it to you. And then their accountants contact Allied Independents and accountants, and they deal with the other half. That being said, now that you have the 5 gold, you could just sit there and be like, hey, just here's the money. We don't invoice us.
Oh, okay. Okay, I get it.
But so also, you guys...
Okay.
Yeah, but the additional aspect to this is that when Diesel was negotiating, you guys already have 500 and you need 1,000. So, if you wanted to, last minute, be actually, we can see if we can try to do it with 500, just, send the 1,000 and we'll do half with the 500. Or you could, your boss gave you power that gives you... Your boss gave you enough power so that later your boss could be mad at you. You know what I mean? Part of the ambiguity I want to make sure you as a player understand, but part of it is also oh shit, my boss gave me money. What? Okay. So carry
I feel
a little...
the company is giving you...
Yeah, keep a little confusion,
the amount you need,
but in-game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel with this information, Chicken's going to be alright, I have the money for 500 units of rope. I'm going to buy 500 units of rope.
Okay, do you take the funicular?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. It costs a copper. Grizzly tosses his own readily.
Yeah, I'll pay a copper.
Alright. instead of a copper, do you pay a silver for the observation car?
No. I'm not rich.
No, stop asking.
You go on back into like the dingy, like hay-filled, horse-ass smelling actual funicular because you need to get somewhere fast. You hear the sound of champagne, and this hour of the morning, because it's the early morning, people are having like fuck, what's that called? It's like champagne and
Mimosa?
orange juice. Yeah, mimosas. It's mimosa hour. You get up there and you hear people like clinking their monocles about as you make your way out, right up at the
Blinking
Trader's
their
Oak.
monocles. Ridiculous.
You wrote down briefly, it's Trader's Oak Rope and Textile, and you see Trader's Oak Textile, but you check and it's not that, and there's a note that they insisted on. They're like, no, it's the red one, and this one's blue, and you're like, okay. And then eventually you find like a different font, Trader's Oak Rope and Textile, and it's red, and that's the one. It's kind of awkward, like, all of their garage doors are open and everyone's working. They don't have security or anything, so you could just walk in, and like you can see trucks just kind of make their way up. You know, people moving their wagons up, unloading them, going by hand and pushing them in as they usher the horses off to the side, right? Business is booming.
Cool. I'm gonna walk into that shop, be like, I need 500 units of rope, my dude.
Alright.
And I would buy 500.
I'm here on behalf
Units.
of company name.
Alright, you get halfway through the spiel, and then the first person you talk to directs you to, like, the whole thing is a big open barn, and then one small area is walled off and it's an office. They direct you there. From there, you move in, you open, and they go, hey, how can I help you? You go, hey, I'm here on behalf of Allied Independent. I'm looking to grab, what'd you say, 500 units?
Yes.
Okay, 500 meters of rope. They do the calculation. They tell you the rate. Do you want to roll barter?
No.
Alright. They go, alright, this is the rate. You go, sounds good. And they go, okay, should we invoice? We need half up front.
Yes.
Alright, so I need 2 gold, 5 silver from you.
I give them 2 gold, 5 silver.
Alright, you've got the rest if you need it.
I'll just put this in my pocket for now. The other 2 gold, 5 silver, just in case we need to come back desperate for another 500 units of rope.
Wait, the Rangers already had 500 units of rope.
Yeah.
Okay,
So now we got 500 units of rope, but if we're desperate for another 500 units.
Is anyone taking notes? Because I want to be distinct about the depth of note here.
Yeah, I'm taking notes.
Cool.
Okay, so the joke is I want to come up with a number, but the reality is I don't want to remember it. Do you want to come up with a 5-digit alphanumeric number? Just so that you can remember it for like comedic purposes?
Random number generator.
4F26A.
Okay, I'm gonna write it down. 4F26A.
Oh, damn. Okay.
So that's your PO number. Otherwise, they take the cash, they hand over the stuff, and you have for whoever's taken party notes, you have 2.5 gold of 4F26A Trader's Oak Rope and Textile invoice.
Cool. I put it in my pocket.
Alright, they wave you off, and it feels like you stole something. Like you have 2.5 extra gold in your pocket and 500 rope.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're just on the street. Nobody's even like checking your ID or being like, "Hey, do you have a receipt?" Like Best Buy has more security. They're just letting you leave.
Yeah. I would not say that chicken is lawful good. So I don't think I'm too. It's more of like a. Yeah, it feels like I was stealing. All right, time to continue on with my day.
Did my best.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything to say to Grizzly while you're with this guy? Big Ursine double bastard swords, full adventurer gear, has like an eye patch and a big grizzly scar over one side. Came here with the mission. If you don't have anything to say though, and you're just like going about your trucking business, this guy's an adventurer who does long road hours. He's very quiet.
Chicken might be like, so what happened to your face?
He chuckles and he goes, better question, what happened to my chest? He lifts up his tunic and there's just like a half-centimeter scar right next to the edge of his sternum.
Oh.
What happened to your chest?
That was a stab from a beowulf claw that was 16th inch from my heart.
Oh.
Anyways, my face was from a branch and I fell about 2 feet. Wear safety glasses.
Oh.
Be safe, children.
Remember, kids. Man.
Always wear eye protection.
What about you? You got any
always
nasty
beware.
ones?
I'm gonna make something up right now because I don't have.
Yeah,
any.
no, 100%. That's the game.
Yeah, so I pull up my pant leg a little bit, and on my leg there's just like a large scar. Right? Like I was attacked by a rabid squirrel.
Is this a giant squirrel? Or
No,
like a magic squirrel? Or just a squirrel?
a squirrel, and it was mad. It was not having a good day. Like classic RimWorld. Like you know how
Yeah.
manhunter squirrel, and it just fucks up your colonists. Like
Okay, so what
Real
allowed the scar to get that bad? Were you like really young? Like this is a birthmark, and when I was a kid, sorry, let me move so the fuck, that's way worse. Can you guys see it? It's like
no. Oh, maybe I
hold
don't
on.
think so.
I have control.
So pale.
No, that's not better, is it?
No, it's not better at all.
Anyways. I have a patch that used to be like when I was a kid, it was the size of like a McGriddle pancake, you know?
Ooh.
Yeah.
And now it's like a good deal larger, and it's literally just because it happened when I was small and then I grew. So is your
Okay.
scar like this happened when you were 7 and you got big, so now it's huge? Or is this literally like, so that's why I don't wear this particular armor style, because that allows them to get under there and then I couldn't get it out and it was just getting angrier?
Yes.
Like, what-
I'm gonna say the second one.
How did it get that bad?
Yeah, I'm gonna say that it got under the armor and just like really was tearing at my leg. Like
So-
really nothing like not glory filled. It was just a squirrel that got into my pants, and I was like panicking.
Okay, chuckles and he goes, funny how that happens, huh? Fight
Yeah.
3 size of a wagon, man-eating drakes. Not a single scar, nothing to tell about it. I fall on a branch when I'm 7. Whoosh. And he gestures across the side of his face.
Yes.
Back at the garage, what's the prep like for this mission? The Rangers are getting ready. Most of them are just checking their weapons, doing like what Chicken did, but like for their own weapons. Meanwhile, Platypus Pete is really pondering. He's the other like major engineer. Just to reiterate, in case you guys have ideas, it's just Platypus Pete talking to you right now. But there's Koala Katie, who's a forester. There's Kangaroo Kyle, who's a wrestler. There's Platypus Pete, the inventor. Wallaby Willie, who's a wildlife educator. And Dingo Dan, who's a hunter. What are your plans before you head out and start to make your descent?
Oh, well, we're going to need a proper winch setup, probably, to do some proper climbing. We're going to need probably some pitons if we don't have them yet.
Platypus Pete goes into the back of the ranger wagon. There's a big heavy sack that he goes clunk, clunk, clunk. You can hear its pitons, like it. He goes, got pitons for that kind of climb, but I don't have that stuff here. Should the setup here with a grapple in the back of your wagon work?
Well, it has a mighty winch. I'll just put that down there. It has a mighty winch. That'll be good for hauling things up or down, especially that cage. I don't know that launching it is going to be particularly effective, so we're going to have to probably play it out.
Can it lower slowly? I'll give you a second to think about this. I'll be back in a tick.
I'm thinking about, look. Diesel thinks about that, and he looks down at his hands, and he looks at like the big winch there, and kind of mentally does the math. And goes, "Yeah, it'll lower slowly." Yeah, he's gonna have to build a brake for it. Oh, did we lose a Will and gain to Maya? She just wants to play, is the problem.
She wants to horf and snorf, actually.
Yes. Yes, that is good for puppies to.
Yeah, it's very important.
What a small baby.
Yeah.
It's vital that she horfs and or snores.
My cat is screaming at the door.
The worst is when she decides to horf and snore while you're on like a walk. Because she doesn't, she sort of gets in a horfing, snorfing feedback loop.
She actually hasn't done that in a really long time.
Thank God.
Like, at worst, she'll get really excited because, like, somebody will come up to her, or, like, there's a dog nearby, and she will, like, just get really excited and kind of run around a little bit, but she hasn't, like, fitted the leash or done the horfing and snorfing in a long time.
I wonder why she used to... Because she did used to, like, bite at the leash, but she wasn't... Like, she just wanted to play tug, I guess.
Yeah, I think she would get into a state of, like, time to play. This is playtime. We're playing. And wouldn't get herself out of that mindset.
Yeah.
And now she's a little bit older. She's like, okay, maybe it's not actually playtime right now.
She's run the calculations.
Yeah.
It might not actually be playtime right just this second.
Right just the second might not actually be playtime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My family's old dog Cleo, rest in peace, a couple years now. What she used to do, like, and it was the same thing at first. You're like, oh, a fun little puppy thing, but she did it until, like, her last days, until she was an old dog.
Aww.
Like, when you went on a walk, like, she would norf just long enough, like, snarf, until she could, like, leash from collar to mouth, and then she would be like, I have it. And that's how the walk goes. And she would be entirely civil. It's just like, she's not having that collar shit. It's in the mouth. She knows where she wants the leash to be, you know?
She wants to hold it.
Yeah.
Like, she was a border collie, and they're very intelligent dogs, but she was very much, like, serene in her intelligence. Like, she could outplay you, you know?
Yeah.
A very clever dog.
I do love a good dog.
On that note, what is Hearts up to?
That's a good question. I feel like Hearts of Brian is sleeping. Hearts of Brian, you know, a very Scooby-Doo energy where if nothing's happening right this second, it's their snacking time.
Like, it's one of those things where if you guys are in a group next to the wagon, he's sleeping under the wagon, and you've moved to the engineering shop to talk, like, Hearts will get up and then sleep under the engineering table.
Yeah.
At this point...
Hi, cutie.
Chicken and Grizzly slowly make their way back with like a half spool of rope. It's not like the actual half spool. It's just like 500-meter lengths that have been tied together, and you can see they have a little bit of finishing and like a little tag that shows what company they come from. Where to next?
Sorry, my cat is having a meltdown. 1 second.
That's all good. Todd heads off to check some medical supplies. For the moment,
Oh boy.
Diesel and Chicken,
Wait.
you're there while everyone else is getting ready. Is there anything you want to touch base on before you head off to take care of this mission?
Well, we have a winch system, we have pythons, we have the rope. The cage, have we put the cage together?
You hear a clunk as Todd comes back. Currently, your setup is that you're using your grapple as like a jury-rigged connection to just like a large animal cage. Like you'd have to kind of... It's not good. You could do better.
Okay.
It'll work.
First thing,
You could do better.
first thing first is a boom arm. I think, just to get us a little, so we're not dragging the rope against the edge of the cliff. I guess it's like a harpoon thing with like a turret. I want to almost just bolt some sturdy 2x4s to the turret, kind of give it like a crane arm, so we can like swing it out, and then lower it properly.
Okay. What Platypus recommends is using your existing wagon repair materials to make a makeshift pulley edge that overhangs the edge of the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
So build on site kind of thing.
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
Are there any adaptations you want to make to the cage? It can hold like 1 or 2 people huddling together, but like you would be falling over and tumbling. Like it's a monster cage. It's not built to lower down the whole way. It's just got like an edge so you can lift it and move it onto a boat or whatever.
Well, first thing is some straps. Like bus straps, so that you can at least hang on to something that isn't like the bars of a cage.
Oh, yeah.
The second thing would be to provide some... There's going to be a situation where somebody wants to hang on to the outside of this thing, and so I want to make that a little bit easier just in case, And the third thing that I would like to maybe add, those two are pretty, like, that's just some leather, strategically tied and knotted. But, like, the important thing for me is somehow creating some sort of way to anchor it to... Okay, because we're going to climb down the wall to get to them. We're going to be putting pythons in there, right? And then it's going to be raising up. If that thing fails, there's absolutely nothing to stop it from just hurtling down the mountain. So it would be nice if we had sort of like a safety rope that we could clip into like pythons as we're going up. Gonna climb alongside this thing. So in case the big crane fails, we have like a... like you're gonna be banged around a lot, but at least you won't fall all the way down the cliff to your death.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying?
make this picture work for me. Anchor crane, It goes through the assembly so this thing's lowering. That's basically just winch down, thing go down, single rope. How's the safety rope work?
Yeah. Safety rope isn't... When we're going down, there's no safety rope because nobody's in it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all at the bottom. People get into the cage. Cage is being raised up. We have a safety rope attached from me, the climber, climbing up to the cage, right?
Dingo Dan and Grizzly want to insist that if you're going down to help people, you're probably delivering people before it goes up. So you want it working both ways.
Okay. Never mind then. That would be a bit much. The benefit of that would be we would also be connected to the crane. So if we fell, the crane could catch us and vice versa. But it's sounding more and more people are attached. I wonder if there's a way to... No, this is going to be precarious no matter what we do.
Platypus Pete suggests a belay system where instead of having the full 1,000 rope where you can go to the bottom, Once you get there, you can reassess. You can just take away the extra if you need the full 1,000 for a precarious drop. But you can have a belaying system if you go half the distance.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. We won't be able to get the cage all the way down without building a second winch system.
So, I'm going to take this out here. While this is happening and there's a discussion, you are interrupted so you can participate, but Chicken and Todd are being brought in more so for the discussion. Koala Katie and Wallaby Willie, Dingo Dan, they're all there with their big master bestiary for the Great Forests, and they're trying to prepare for a descent. They mentioned that if you're on the outside of the cage, it had better be temporary. You use a cage for a reason. If you could just go down on a harness, they would use a harness. There are things in these trees.
Yeah, well, the things in the trees is exactly why I want to make sure that it's like, if you have to quickly find a new spot to grab, you know, just like, hey, I'm falling here, I'd like something to grab, you know, like a
so a last you're thinking of using your extra engineering time to make this cage, like, more people could grab onto it in an emergency, but it's less safe, as opposed to smaller, more safe.
Yeah, like I'm thinking
like trips versus capacity.
Yeah. Like I'm thinking like this is more so okay. We have this thing up the cliff face. We're suddenly attacked by 3 Skoogers. What are we gonna want then? Are we gonna want padding inside there, or are we gonna want the ability to quickly, you know, sort of move around the cliff face? We want that.
Okay. So, in the last campaign, I had you and Ken and Ye as a long-standing professional team. You and Wallaby Willie don't work together. No. So, are you guys going to try and cooperate with the same skill and really make the thing work, or are you doing different projects? Because Platypus Pete recommends that there are 2 harnesses that connect to the top, so someone could stand on top of the cage and, like, use weapons if they need to. And then just having, like, 2 people on the inside so that it has a capacity of 4.
That makes total sense to me. I'm not one to let pride get in the way of doing the best job possible.
Okay, so you have harnesses and you have the cage. The cage doesn't need any modification. What are you both working on? Platypus Pete is an inventor as a concrete skill. You're a gadgeteer, I believe.
Yes, I'm a gadgeteer, which means that I tend to make little sort of trinkets and gadgets, and so the one thing that I think so he's an inventor. If he wants to sort of work on the harnesses, that makes sense. I am going to spend my time making like, I'm almost wondering if there's some way to make like an air horn, you know, like a spooka da monster if he tries and attack us to buy us some time, sort of idea, you know.
I think we have a siren, don't we?
We do, but we're not gonna be able to carry it all the way down. Like I'm thinking one of the ones.
The siren would be loud enough that if you don't, like, if the monster rolls in.
Yeah.
Do you want to roll Gadgeteer for...
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Making this, like, devising a way that you can take the siren off the wagon and make it handheld? Like,
yeah.
have you seen the, like, they have an air pressure hose? You use it when you're, like, going through an entire field and you're trying to scare off any deer or whatever. Like, it's just big air pressure hose with a horn. You're going, like that.
Yeah, like... I think that's a good idea. Like, okay, because my thought is, if we're climbing, we're not going to be able to fight very well. But if we're able to, like, give a short blast to sort of disorient a monster, we might be able to, like, make it out, you know?
Okay.
Gadgeteer, that's a 9. We're trying to figure out how I can make this horn work for me.
Okay. If you do the bare minimum and unbolt it from the wagon and bolt it to the cage, you can do it in the opposite direction, and it's a safe, easy, mechanical transition both ways.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks. I'll do that.
Platypus Pete rolls for... Do you want to roll or do you want me to?
Oh, you can roll.
Okay. Platypus Pete is making the harnesses, and that's a pass. They're uncomfortable. Like, you know the ones that you think that they hurt your dick a bit, but they don't. They just hurt your, like, groin muscles because they dig. So you have to, like, sit in them right. Like, it's one of those harnesses. Like, it sucks, but, like, it keeps you from dying a perilous, horrible falling death. So, like,
Yeah.
you're grateful.
Which is ideal. Yeah.
It is ideal.
I feel like the word you're looking for is rock climbing harness.
Exactly. Especially, like, I love that too because it's like there's the aspect of like, oh god, my dick, but the reality is it's just going into your thigh muscles universally. And it's just like the worst spot. So
That's true.
Is there anything else you want to get done?
So we have a siren to ward off danger. We're not falling far enough for a parachute to be worthwhile. Like maybe...
I should say, you are. It would be extra for the cage. You already have the belaying system for the cage, so this would be like extra stuff. But if you wanted to do some sort of sky sailing stuff, you aren't trained. A place in town called Alliance Sky Sports does that as like a hobby. The way that like modern rock climbing trains you for actual rock climbing, but like potentially.
That's a potential idea. I'm hoping it doesn't come to that, but at the very least, you know, good pitons and a sort of a buddy system, we should be able to make it out okay.
All right. Grizzly mentions that he climbed out alone fine, so that's not a standard you expect other people to meet, but that's where it's at.
All right.
That means you're headed out. So if everyone's packed and ready, I just want to check. Chelsea, you good? Moving without Chelsea? Chelsea's dark. Okay. Chicken's in the middle of polishing armor, sort of in the back of the wagon as everyone's getting moving. The Rangers are moving. You guys are moving. Who's heading where?
Yep.
Currently, everyone is in the lower palisade. You are headed up into the trees.
I'm the one what drives this bus most of the time. I'm the one what drives the bus most of the time. I feel like this is no exception.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just gonna sit in my booster seat and be along for the ride. I know we have it sort of identified as like a safety heart, like a size, like a ride along seat, but like it's definitely a booster seat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For sure.
Maya's feeling particularly Horfy tonight.
Doing big borfs.
Horfy?
Like, she kind of just wants to fight, you know?
Yeah.
Too bad I'm not there. I would fight your dog.
Yes. I've seen it. I've seen you do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll fight your dog. Full attack.
Yeah. She loves to fight.
Mm-hmm. Wants to scuff.
Yeah.
So
He loves to scuff is the problem.
Mm-hmm. So everyone's ready to roll. You guys quietly creep up the spiral, eventually making your way up into the trees. It's about 2 hours of travel. You're not actually very far out of Pine Wash before you reach the spot. You see it before you get there. There's a couple of different turns where it's like, oh, is this the one? No, it's the other one. And then it's obvious, like, this is the turn. You know?
Okay.
So I'm going to wait till Chelsea has her headphones back on.
Right.
Hey.
Sorry.
So, all good. So along the roads, there's, they're grown with druid magic. Big teams of druids trying to make these kilometer-high trees, like, braid their boughs together. And even that's not wagon traversable. You have to dig into it like mining. You have to build up these like fences along the edge. And right here, not along the curve, but slightly after it, where you might steady a wagon in the last couple of little sort of rocks, there's a break in the fence that just kind of goes out into oblivion. All it is about like a foot, like literally up to knee height, even if you're small folk. Like it's really low as a fence, but that's all it takes for this to go from feeling vaguely precarious to insanely precarious. Below you is a kilometer fall. You're there, Grizzly's there, and the Rangers are there. By now, it's getting close to the lunch hour. What's everyone up to? You can see that the Rangers are, like, they haven't unhitched their rear wagon because they don't need to, but they're prepping their, like, caravan to stay there. They're opening the side sections, doing a big crank with a winch, and they go clunk, 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 clunk.
I feel like a good thing to start would probably be, like fire? Because I'm thinking for like if we need to sterilize anything, if people need food or water when they get up, or if they need, anything that would require a fire, it would be good to have one going that we could easily pick back up if we need to.
Okay. How do you do that with upper canopy, like, fire safety protocols?
Oh!
Like, I mean...
Every freaking time. What
honestly,
are the
I feel
protocols
like
again?
with...
Just don't start fires.
What's everyone's magic score?
0.
3.
0, 3.
0. Yeah.
Okay. So Chicken's the one who mentions it. In the upper canopy, it's just natural. These are trees, things are dry, it's all wood, things can burn. But this rule fades in the lower canopy. The lower canopy is where the magic is dense, and it bends reality a bit. You can start fires, you can build, like, shelters in the bases of trees without them burning up. Things get strange about halfway down. It's almost... And it's not like... It's not a spectrum, but it's not a spectrum. Like, there's definitely an up and a down, but it's tough to tell when you hit between them, but you can definitely tell which one it is. Like, imagine a stoner trying to tell you when the DMT hits. I realize I said stoner, but, like, imagine, like, a Joe Rogan type telling you when the DMT hits, and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. What's this elf shit? Like, Chicken's just sitting there being like, no, it's like halfway down, there's kind of a haze, and there's not a haze, but there's like a cloud. So down there, you can start fires. Up here, you need, like, equipment. Like, if you've ever been out in the bush and they have, like, the green, yellow, red, up here it's always red, and sometimes it's, like, black.
Alright. Okay, so, step 1, get a base camp going up here. We're gonna need proper medical attention for people. We're going to need to make sure that no one comes down this road and collides with us, so safety pylons. And we're going to need to establish probably a base camp about halfway up if people need to take a break. Or whatnot. A kilometer's not exactly a jaunt.
Okay, up top, the Rangers have their place that they can set up. Yours, you mentioned when you built the wagon that you have these structural, like...
Yep.
struts, so you get those set up, and it's enough to very easily carry this. With all the precautions you made, you went through the trouble roleplay wise to make sure this isn't a problem, but like it's taking advantage of everything. You have to make sure that like you're getting support from the additional draw animals. You have to transfer them to one wagon to the other. You make sure they're secure and down. You like... At this point, what needs to be done is you need to assemble that like crane bit off of like the extra wagon parts.
Mm-hmm.
The siren has been bolted onto the cage, which was brought from the garage. That's ready. And you were saying you want a base camp up top. The Rangers just have it. They have a trailer. They're like good in a half hour tops. They'll be set, but they take a second to do it. Is there anything else you want done? Do you want a midway camp? What's the plan?
Yeah, I'm thinking sort of a midway camp. Because we're going to have non-experienced climbers trying to climb up this thing. We're going to have a whole winch. It'll be good to be able to stop halfway up if we have to for whatever reason. Um, I mean, it doesn't have to be big, but I'm thinking literally like, some supplies to start a fire if something happens and we have to camp halfway up. Just find a nice flat spot, basically. Like, okay, that's where we're gonna stop if we have to, and you know.
Grizzly shows you the location where the wagon went over. It's in the shrub canopy, which technically is halfway up. This is a big system. The Rangers have a couple of books they take out if you want to do any additional studying. But as it stands, in the upper shrub camp, like imagine if you're out in like a normal forest, there's like trees and there's bushes.
Yeah.
Kilometers. So shrub canopy is where that is. It's like 1 to 2 feet for us, but it's like 300 to 400 meters for you.
I see, and they're right at like the bottom.
From what you last heard, they got to the bottom. It technically stopped there, then fell more, so most of the wagon is like fine, but it's not shelter. Because of that, they made their way to a spot in the root tangle, not in the root caverns, but the root tangle he specifies as like a term. They made a temporary camp with 3 days supplies, but it's iffy.
Okay.
Like he came for help.
Yep.
It's not
okay,
good.
So I'm thinking that we okay. My biggest concern is that we don't make our whole plan revolve on getting everybody up as fast as possible. Things might happen that slow us down, and I just want to be prepared for that. So, I think we should load up the cage with some supplies in case people have to camp out down there longer, and try and make a halfway point with maybe, a stash of maybe medical supplies and like a bedroll or two. We can grab that on the way fully up, but just, in case we get stuck.
Okay, do you want to take 2 bags of our medical supplies, take your full crate, and then we'll keep ours in case we need reserves up here?
Good.
Okay. In addition to yours, they hand you like an extra 2 medical packs. You have your regular 4 that you put into the cage. By now it's getting a bit heavy. You still need that crane built. What's the next step?
I'm building the crane.
Okay. What role are you using for this?
Definitely Gadgeteer. Like, this feels like almost this feels like a very MacGyver sort of setup. And that is a 12 to build a big old. I mean, it's really just like a pulley that's kind of cantilevered out, maybe like a foot or two, really just to keep the cable from dragging on the rocks or the tree bark as we descend.
All right. It's a reasonably simple assembly, so most of the difficulty comes in making sure that it's well braced. You're able to use just like a couple of boards from your wagon supplies, but then the weird things like the yokes you're able to use as struts. The wagon wheel and axle you couldn't use unless you really wanted the extra stuff, so you just go into your personal gadgeteering supplies, grab a pulley, bolt it right into the side with a couple of screws, and it's nice and firm and ready to go.
Feature I'd like to install. Is there a convenient spot to take a length of rope and make like an absolutely last digit, something huge is pulling on the cage, the struts fail, our wagon is about to go over the cliff, but we've tied some rope between it and like a tree or something,
So here's the core issue. Imagine a line. You are attempting to do a rescue in this direction, so if your oxes pull, they're in this direction. If you could use your remaining wagon wheels and timbers to make a central pulley, you could make it so that your ox goes one way, the Rangers' ox goes the other. They have pull direction, so you have +6 and leeway.
Yeah.
Decreases stress on the central assembly, and if your wagon and its additional struts fail, then the oxen can pull for their own well-being.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay. You're going to need more time for this. You technically used your chunk, but that's not a hard rule.
Yep.
Do you direct people to help you so you can keep maining these roles, or do you delegate? Either one's acceptable.
Um, yeah, I think I would ask help from whoever looks the strongest, purely in like I need help moving
I'm
a lot of wood around,
I'm pretty
holding things in
strong.
plot. All right, Chicken Club, you're with me.
All right, Chicken and Kangaroo Kyle from the Rangers come with you.
All right. I'm explaining the pulley setup and getting some rough little dirt drawings of what we want to do, and getting some wood set up.
Oh yeah.
All right, want to give me a roll? And what role are you using Chicken to help?
Brawn.
Brawn. Okay.
Yeah.
Kangaroo Kyle's doing the same, just following orders.
Okay, and I got a 10 to lead these folks.
10 plus 13 for 23.
So, I rolled really bad. I got
Ooh.
2 2s and a 1.
Ooh.
But that's a 10. But
33, okay. That's why we work in groups.
yeah.
There's a couple of moments where you have to lean on each other for support, making sure that like the wagon wheel appropriately grabs this section of rope. But you've got it set up so that there's like this cross pulley so that the ox have room to actually pull if they need extra support. But by default, you're expecting that like the wagon and its struts are the first, like, they're the first check, ox are second. So you now have that for yours, and then the redundancy in the actual lowering mechanism is the fact that instead of the full kilometer, you're just going down to the shrub canopy and you have a belaying level.
Yeah.
Which leads to the final question. 2 on the harnesses up top, 2 inside. You have the 3 of you and the 5 rogue rangers. Who's on the top crew, who's on the bottom crew, and who's waiting for like which round down?
Like honestly, Diesel was planning to do like a like basically just a descent, putting pit and pegtons into the canyon wall. Like that was kind of his thought, having the crane be sort of like the
like part
lifting
one of
people who can't climb.
Yeah, so the crane brings you the first half, and then you have to climb the second half.
Right. Yeah, okay. In that case, Diesel will be up top helping operating the winch on account of, it takes some muscle to move it.
Alright.
And then he'll maybe climb down. Once the crate is down there, he might descend to the rope, if that makes sense.
Okay. Who's down in the cage?
Yeah.
Me.
Alright, are you in the cage or are you defending the cage?
Does anybody else want to be in the cage?
Yeah, so wait, can I, so my thought is, with the cage, is there a lot of strength required to be in the cage? Because, I'm definitely gonna need to be able to drag people around a little bit, but, should not we want maybe the lightest person so that we're not actively adding more weight?
Lightest is something that's solved by, when you're getting set up initially who stands where, but basically in the cave is oh god, please don't hurt me, and outside of the cave is I can make sure people don't get hurt. So, from the Rogue Rangers side, Rogue Rangers, Koala Katie and Dingo Dan would rather stay inside. Dingo Dan could stay outside. Wallaby Willie and Kangaroo Kyle want to be on the outside. And Platypus Pete, if anything, wants to stay with the anchor crew, working with the mechanisms.
Right. Actually, you know what? What am I saying? Diesel Spades? He's going right on the outside next to Club. I can't believe he would be so cowardly as to say he's going to stay topside.
Okay.
He's right there in case things go wrong. I think we got Club and he's on the outside. We have a lot of supplies and.
Club's hanging left side. Diesel's hanging right side. Todd is inside. Who's the fourth? Is the fourth for the equipment, and then you wait and you let them do the second run?
Yeah, I think the fourth is the equipment. Yeah. All right. If you keep us safe from any prowling squoogers, I'll try and keep us steady with the cliff face, so we're not spinning around like a children's toy.
All right. They load up like first just the crate full of medical supplies. Not the crate, I should say, like the big pile of them. And then they all throw their backpacks in and their various like, oh, and make sure my water bottle's in there and all that sort of stuff. From there, you're able to close in.
All right. We got climbing gear, pythons, extra rope.
Ready?
And yep.
Who's giving me the 2 thumps? Give me 2 thumps.
Here we go. Thump thump.
All right.
I don't know if that came through.
So you give them the thump and you start to descend. You were coming down from the road canopy in the overstory. Slowly, you make your way down to the garden canopy. This is where, like, there's lower hanging branches that are... The way they kind of fan out, they can collect in a way that, like, you can build clumps of dirt and make gardens here. You actually see rabbits jump from one tree to the next. They're invasive. They're not supposed to live in a place like this, but they've made it work. From there, you descend into the top trunk, where all the branches start to move off to the side. You're slowly going down. It takes a second for it to click that there's a shadow moving, and then you see something lunge towards your cage. It's a giant tree jumper.
Oh boy. Can
I shoot
Okay.
from inside the cage too?
Yep, but not as effectively.
It's going right at us.
Mhm.
I want to try and use my brawn to swing the cage out of the way of the tree jumper.
Should we just smack it out of the air with like a force blast?
I guess
First?
yeah. How big is a big tree jumper? Like I'm picturing the size of a man.
Imagine the entire assembly at the bottom of the cage. One giant tree jumper is 1-to-1 with that. A regular
Okay.
tree jumper is the same size as a person, and these are oversized.
Would I be able
This thing
to
is
knock
accurate.
it? Can I knock it off path with a force blast?
You can do both at the same time.
All right.
Okay, let's do both.
Yep. Okay. I will defer to you. I have my back, and I'm saying, "Go! I'm gonna get a swinging!" And I grab onto the cliff face and get ready to just.
18 for a force blast.
Sorry, I should say, there's no cliff face. This is like a shark cage. But tree.
Yeah, like we're
it's just
dropping
going
like
down. I
below
see.
it. We're dropping from like a ledge,
Like,
right?
sorry,
God.
I hate to reference back to the thumbnail, but do you see that?
Yeah.
Like
I
that.
see. Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's not good. All right. Well, in that case, I'm
Like, you can do
Nope.
the same thing, but it's the difference between pushing off and, like, you know when you're on a swing and you impulse yourself?
Yep.
If anything,
Yeah,
that pair
I'm-
of motions, like the impulse and the force blast, work really well together if you can communicate.
Okay.
So who communicates and how?
You do
I-
the communication, I will do the force blast.
I would like to roll. Okay. Okay. I... Can I do a social convince? Like, hey. Listen. Here's what we're doing.
Me? You don't have to convince me.
I know, but the other options are
Okay.
understand. I guess understand could work if we're trying to communicate.
You can have a sentence in, like, 5 words. You can have understand to figure out how, and then the communication as a separate thing. Or you could do either a physical convince or a social brawn to communicate the swing.
Like, Ambi's this thing coming. He, in a split second, says, "Blast it on 3!" And then starts counting down.
Okay.
Okay, because of latency, I'm gonna do the count. It's not gonna be like ride or die. This is just for flavor because there's latency issues. So I want to hear what you
Yay.
say. 1, 2, 3, go.
Ah!
Okay, there's a bit of
That's me doing
desynchronicity.
a brawn roll to
Yeah.
shove it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm doing a brawn. You're doing a blast.
Mm-hmm.
I got a. I should probably roll that dice. Actually, probably shouldn't roll that dice directly onto the floor. That. Oh man. That is 4, 5, 4, 8, 10, 18, 21 for a big sort of big kid pumping action swing set maneuver.
Okay, 21. What's the other direction?
An 18.
18. What? Okay, do you want to make a roll of some sort? Or just take the damage, or what? Because the damage for Todd is 3 on the inside. All the cargo shifts to one side. Is that enough that you could just be like, ah, shit, and just let it hit you and be like, oh, goddamn, and keep moving and have your action? Or do you want to do some sort of dodge, brace, preemptive action for everything moving inside the cage with this?
Feel like I'm gonna try and like lie down on top of the things and hold on to like the bars underneath to see if I can like hold down
yeah.
some stuff.
Okay. Is this brawn, like you got a grip and you're holding it? Is it grace, like, oh god, let me get this in time? Or is this delicate, like you didn't get it on time and you have 2 fingers and you're trying to make it work?
This is grace.
Okay. So it's like, fuck, 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 fuck.
Yeah. 11.
Okay, you hold on as it swings to one side. There's a blast, far from lethal, but it's enough to knock the tree jumper off its path, and you swing, and then as you descend, you're out of its way as it jumps across, and then it skitters off to the other side.
Ew.
You lower down, and now you're in the trunk biome, in the high trunk. As you swing to one side, you see some jumping snakes move from one trunk to another. To the vine zone. There are things known as bee birds. They're birds with fur. You know how, like, bees get covered in pollen? It's the same thing, but it's a bird for giant flowers. Like, it's these big, puffy things that go and carry them from point A to point B.
So like a hummingbird if it was the size of like a crow.
Mm.
Yeah.
Cool.
From there, you
Alright.
watch as the size of, like, an actual subway train, there's a snake that just goes whoosh, 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 and then goes off into the rest of the trees. A megaconda.
Alright, stay calm.
You've gone down past the vine zone, past the low trunk, and now you're getting down to the shrub canopy. As you settle in, you're technically only halfway down, but you're at a point where it slowly, like, slows you and then catches you, and then you can, like, make sure to guide yourself to the right spot, give them the right, like, tug signals that are pre-prepared in advance.
Yep.
Because you
alright.
had gone through all the trouble of being like, we're going to prep a camp, I'll speed through it. You know, you're like, tug, tug, up, down, no, we're going to move over, you give the signal, set off a flare, whatever, and then they're good. They go to
Okay.
bring down the next set of monster hunters next. For now, you're up here in the shrub
All right.
canopy, and you see just regular squirrels come and go. They're a bit surprised to see you.
Alright, well, I'm gonna start trying to find like a good spot to kind of set up a stash, a bit of a camp.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're gonna want some shelter for monsters. If there's sort of like an L shape where we can kind of put our backs into a corner if need be. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Alright, immediately you're half successful, half unsuccessful. Like, you know when you concretely find the temporary solution? There's a spot in the shrub canopy that's perfect, but you definitely can't stay here. Just long enough that you can build base camp.
Hey.
That makes sense.
Well, and then I'm gonna clear the area for when that thing comes down. Maybe I don't know if
Yeah.
we have like, if there's debris or detritus or like rocks that have fallen, but kind of clear the landing zone for the cage and
So
make
what
sure
you have to
everyone
do is
knows
you have to like walk along the upper branches
where it's
and
coming
like
down.
push them to the side, and then once it comes down, you have to like lead it with your hands, make sure it gets settled. But with the second round down, Koala Katie, Kangaroo Kyle, Wallaby Willie, and Dingo Dan come down. Platypus Pete is staying up top with the mechanisms. There's 7 of you here.
All right.
Time to set up camp, boys.
Yep. Set up camp.
Okay.
Which one of them is the most experienced with climbing?
Climbing would be Koala Katie, Scrollfolk Forester. If you were to go to the mountains, you
Alright.
might not want to bring her, but for exactly the situation, she's the person.
All right, Katie, I want you to start trying to route out a good spot. Some of us aren't the best at climbing, and we're gonna have injured people. We're gonna need a nice clear route down.
Alright, well, we're at the shrub canopy. We're going to have to go through the bottom trunk, which is going to be hazardous. We're going to have to deal with some southern bear wolf packs. We're going to have to go through the root tangle, then the soil and the water, and then from there, we shouldn't have to go down into the understory and death biome, I hope.
Fingers crossed.
Death biome.
Death biome.
Robots in disguise.
Is there another one of those rangers that would be good at setting up like getting some wood and some vines and kind of like making a shelter, like a little lean-to type thing?
You're able to delegate so that the forester and the
I guess I'm
hunter...
pitching that to them.
Yeah, the forester and the hunter are able to take the lead, but if you fully delegate, then they bring the educator in so that, like, the 3 of them are making camp. That being said, normally the person that keeps watch while they do this is Kangaroo Kyle, so there's 4 of you. The 3 of you plus Kangaroo Kyle. You
Yep.
are informed that you're in the shrub canopy. Below that is the bottom trunk, and then the root tangle, and then soil and water. And then there's more beneath that, but that's what matters for now. Above you is the low trunk, vine zone, high trunk.
All right. Well, for now, Diesel is going to be taking his axe. He's good at chopping wood and just like bringing wood for firewood, bringing wood for if we need to make a splint real fast, and mostly just bringing wood so we can kind of get a roof over our head and make our temporary camp a little less temporary.
So, magical scores 003, right?
Yep.
Okay, chicken.
Yeah.
The wood here is as stone, the roots like caverns. You can make fire and worry not about the wood. That's what the magic tells you. You are
I
well
repeat
within the
this information.
fog. Like, you broke the fog around the vine zone, and it was vague, but now you're definitely in it.
I repeat that information to my peers. Word for word. And I say we are now in the fog. As
Does
if
that mean
everybody,
anything to me?
as if everybody understands. I'm just assuming
Yeah, like
everybody
that's
understands.
my question.
Diesel,
Like,
Diesel nods wisely and says, "And where there's fog fire." And
Like,
so I
it-
guess I won't be chopping down any trees, eh?
That's the question. This is one of those things where normally a mage tells you what to do. But the direction is like, no, you can chop trees and make fire, like, in the trees.
Okay. Well, what would be a good role for like a going out and finding? How do I go out and find wood in a forest? What's that role?
Gadgeteer for a permanent campfire. Brawn Grace Delicate if you want to just bring back an armful of wood, or if you had some sort of like herbalist gatherer forestry, that would also be useful.
Yeah, I'm going brawn on like the nearest tree. Doing sort of a bit of land clearing and a bit of wood gathering in the same fell swoop. And that is a... Let me just see here. So 21 again.
do we want to leave like a few pieces of medical stuff here?
not a bad plan, considering we're going on foot the rest of the way. We don't want to be necessarily carrying more than we have to.
As a base camp, it makes sense to stash things here. You have the space to do it, especially because you plan on bringing the cage back up. As you hack away a couple of loose, like, sprigs that come off the main trunk and its root system, you know how, like, a freshly cut apple has that one surface, and then when you leave an apple out for, like, half a day, it gets, like, a dry rind? In a matter of seconds, when you cut off the tree, it goes from being, like, a fresh limb to an old, dry one. The forest does not behave regularly here.
Okay.
Like,
noted.
your limb is cut off, it's fine, but the tree is behaving as though the limb was cut off 1,000 years ago.
I thought you meant like one of my arms or something.
Fortunately, no. You seem to be fine.
Oh, that kind of scared me. I was like, oh no. Are we losing limbs already? That's not good.
Well,
Pretty quick for that, but
Pretty quick.
I guess I've gathered roughly 21 coppers worth of, like, wood
Mhm.
as material to found our base camp.
Alright, you don't need a fire now because of the temperature, but you're able to set it next to where the fire pit will be. From here,
Yeah, and also if they want to, if they're building stuff with wood or whatnot.
Grizzly directs you to go further downward. They hit the soil layer and made their way to a separate spot in a root cavern for safety.
Now, do you remember which root cavern?
Shit. No, this way. I got it. This way. Yep, this way.
All right. I would like to use our rope to, tie it one end of camp, and as we're going down, have a rope trailing behind us, A, so we don't get lost, and B, in case we fall,
I will say that given the effort towards having a belaying rope, you don't have enough left.
Oh, good.
The thickest limb leads you mostly down to the base. You follow it like a shell, and it intermixes with a couple. Things come and go. They jump from limb to limb and skitter along. There's a couple of near misses as like a raccoon out of nowhere shows up and then disappears. You hit ground though, and it's like a thick moss. First you hit it, and then you descend, and then it thickens, and then there's the last little squelch. It's firm ground, but it feels weird and squelchy here.
I tell you, this place is a firefighter's worst nightmare.
weird and squelchy.
If this were ever to go up, ooh, that's one bad boy we're never putting out.
So we considered a spot here, but it was too open, so we went this way. Grizzly starts leading you on. Cautiously, but like he's leading the group. Do you follow, or do you take the lead up ahead of him?
I'm definitely following him, but maybe more to the side than directly behind him. Like, I'll put it this way: I am always ready to apply my stonewall benefit on him to get him behind me if need be.
Okay, so you're like a strong number 2 in the queue.
Yeah.
You make your way up, and you see that there's a bunch of hastily grown roots, distinctly, like, magical or something in origin. Grizzly sees them too and goes, oh no. He gets closer, and you see that in the low root caverns beneath the soil layer, there was a shelter. Inside he goes, okay, no bodies. Comes out with a note. You can come in if you want. They had a separate spot here, but based on the note, it seems like something had located them and tried to attack. They had to go for shelter, and they had to go down.
Not good.
Oh.
So, out of game, it's 10 p.m. What's the plan from here? Is there anything you want to do this session, or do you want to plan for next session?
Plan for next session.
Yep, definitely plan for next session.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to need to go down into the caves. We're going to need a rope. We're going to need almost maybe like a third level of camp. If that makes sense? It depends how far away we are from our first.
So, your quote-unquote base camp, your top camp is all the way up the road canopy. The lower camp is up at the shrub
Right.
canopy, and then you go bottom trunk, root tangle, soil and water. You are currently root caverns, but it keeps going. Based on the books that the rangers have brought with them, and their own experience, below the root caverns are the true caverns, the deep canopy, the micaceous zone, and then the elven zone. And then you
Oh,
hit
boy.
bedrock.
Well, we don't have a lot of time, but we're also not exactly equipped for a full cavern rescue. I'm gonna start preparing some torches. I assume we have some, but it's good to be prepared. I think that we take advantage of our camp, be fully geared up for tomorrow. In game, is it starting to get dark?
You are so far from the sun that you can't tell. Genuinely.
Good. My favorite place to be.
Hey, well,
Like, it is currently high noon, and it feels like twilight. It's only getting darker. And this is the brightest it's going to be at best. Like, Torch
Okay.
City down here.
well, I mean, it's not going to be much brighter in those caves, so I say we take advantage of the daylight we have, and get ready to go in there.
Okay.
Because we have been laying rope, correct?
You used the extra rope to make sure that the cage assembly was, like, triple secure. So you have no rope left because you used it.
Okay. I see. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's time to forage for supplies.
Yeah, like, are we low
We have
on
medical
anything
supplies, we have
that
food.
No.
Just rope and torches. Honest, that's all I could think of.
I'll say that you guys are good for supplies, but this is the point where it behooves all of you to do, like, a backpack check as trained, like, like search and rescue rangers. And why don't we call that for this session? Is there anything last minute you want to do this session that you don't want to do next session?
Nope.
I do want to do one. I do have one question. Can squirrel dogs climb ropes?
Yes.
Would Hearts O'Brien have followed us down the rope?
Yes.
Would I be able to send Hearts O'Brien back up with a note explaining the situation to our topside team?
That is the
That's
limit
what I'll
of
do.
how smart Hearts is. Hearts is way smarter, but only for mischief. That's as
Right,
collaboratively smart as Hearts is.
Yes. Yeah. Well, all right. Hey, Hearts, come here. And I'm giving him a scratch. I'm giving him a little bit of food, and I'm affixing. I guess the note that we found to the collar, along with like a little bit more written explanation of what our situation is, and sending it back up, just so that he knows we might be a little longer.
What's Hearts training like? Is someone Hearts' trainer, or is Hearts pre-trained?
Hearts is very much trained the way that like a guard dog is trained, where he's sort of trained himself to be good at like 3 things. You know, one of them is sniffing people out, and I guess one of them is, hey Hearts, go up there. I bet they'll love you.
Yeah, so like it's basically like Hearts check this out, Hearts go home, Hearts come back. Those are the 3 things.
Yeah.
So you took the notes in and you go Hearts go home and Hearts goes back up to the wagon.
Yeah.
Alright. We'll check in next week. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
We are here at twitch.tv/Bloodwine TTRPG. We're at youtube.com/Bloodwine TTRPG if you want to check the archived episodes of this. Ken's taking some time off, but normally me and Ken do some stuff at Croton_live. Some fun stuff on Saturdays or occasionally other times of the week. Is anybody else doing any vague social media stuff, or is it just this?
Oh, it's just this.
Just this, baby. So if you want to check us out, show up again. The most recent publicly available rule set is at bloodwine.fandom.com if you want to check those out. I should say, for the sake of posterity, that we are using like a halfway through editing rule set on our end, but use the fandom one if you're not us. Yeah, so we'll see you guys next week, and it's been good hanging out. Have a good night.
Bye.